Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great, and I have two little game reviews for you today because Em and I have started to go through the GenCon haul, I guess, and determine whether we're going to keep the games that I brought home or not. And so we started with the two-player games I brought home, It's a Wonderful Kingdom and Dice Throne. So let's start with It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Apparently, this is a two-player version of a much larger game called It's a Wonderful World. I had never heard of it before this, at least. So this is all new to me. I don't know when this game came out. I'm assuming it's not super old. But it is a two-player drafting game, of all things. Which I find to be 2021, so this is last year. Two-player drafting game. There's not a lot of those, and this one offers some really unique decisions. Basically, the way that it works is you have a hand of cards. Those cards have cost requirements in one corner and then game benefits in the bottom. Game benefits either provide you resources, so you need resources to fulfill, to be able to put the cards into your kingdom. Or they provide you victory points. Well, there's victory points and there's victory point multipliers. So those are the basic cards. There's also calamity cards, which are negative points. And the way it works is kind of an I split you choose. There's going to be two piles always. And on your turn, you pick one of the piles as yours, and then you take two cards from your hand and you play them to either of the two piles. You can put both on one or you can split them. Then it's your opponent's turn. They pick one pile, then they put two cards out. And so I say it's kind of I split because you don't really have to. You could put them both on one side. But the secret of all of that is there's these trap tokens. And so twice per round, you're going to have 8 cards in your hand. Twice per round, you can flip this trap token and put the card face down. And so you can hide those negative cards. You can try to hide them and trick your opponent into taking the negative cards. And that's basically it. At the end of the round, you can either add the card to your kingdom or you can chuck it. You can recycle it, it's called, to get the resource that's shown in the upper right-hand corner and put that on one of your other cards. And then there's a production phase. So for each of the cards that produce, you make goods and you put them on the cards that you have under construction. The player who earns the most of each good gets a little bonus, which is a little dude man thing. And you play 4 rounds, and whoever has the most points wins. So that's the base game, and we played the base game first, and we were kind of like, okay, that's interesting, but it felt like there was something missing. And that's when I discovered at the end of the rulebook, it tells you, okay, now that you've played the game, next time, or every time hereafter, you have to pick one of these 3 modules. And so there's 3 modules that completely change how the game works. One of those modules provides allies, which let you spend your soldiers to do certain things. One of them replaces the calamity cards with these like faction decks that you can give to your, so each player has their own sort of champion or something, I forget what they're called, and you fight against each other using those cards instead of calamities. And the other one is a quest, and this is just simply something you can do throughout the game to try to get more points. Very, very simple game. I say very simple, but when I first read the rulebook, I was like, man, this is kind of a lot for a little 2-player drafting game. But in the end, I think it's got some really interesting decisions. It's got some really clever mechanics. The I split-ish, you kind of choose. The trap tokens really make it worthwhile. And we enjoyed we played it twice. We played it the base game, and then we played the second game with the allies. And the allies did add a little extra element because the soldiers didn't do anything in the first game, and you're just kind of like, why do I have these? In the second game, it gives you a way to spend those to do certain abilities, and that felt really interesting. We have not played with any other modules, so we might give those a shot. But overall, I'm not upset that I traded for this. It's a neat little game. I'll probably take it to game night this week, and it can live at the library to be available for 2 players there. The second game I traded for was Marvel Dice Throne. I've been told for years that I should play Dice Throne, that it's amazing, and I never did. I kept avoiding it for some reason. I don't know why. And after playing it, I feel stupid because this is a really amazing little game. Each player gets a character. So in this case, in this 4-player Marvel box, you've got the Scarlet Witch, Thor, Loki, and Miles Morales, Spider-Man. You get your own little character box. In that box, you've got your character's board, which lists all of the powers that your character has. For Thor, you know, you've got a bunch of different attacks. You've got some defense. You get a set of dice that are all character specific. These are 6-sided dice that have 1 through 6 on them, but they also have symbols on them. And so when you roll these dice, you're trying to get either numbers or symbols, depending on what you're wanting to do. So for instance, with Thor, if I want to do Thor's lightning rod, I have to make a small straight. So I have to make a 4 dice straight. And then I can do 7 damage and some other stuff. But if I want to use Thor's hammered, I have to get hammer symbols. And so each character's dice are slightly different. The division of symbols is slightly different. Each character also has special powers. And there's tokens that go with those that you can use to modify dice or modify your opponent's dice. And then each character has a deck of cards. And these use points that you earn every round or every turn. You earn what's called a combat point, and you can use combat points to play cards. These do all kinds of things, from dice mitigation to removing status effects and just screwing up the whole rules of the game. But the main point of the game is you roll some dice, you try to complete, you know, Yahtzee style. You get 2 re-rolls. Roll some dice, try to do one of these abilities, attack your opponent. They get a chance to defend, move on. You start with 50 health, and if you get to 0, you lose. Pretty simple and straightforward. And as a battling game, it's really well done. It feels really good. It feels, you know, because of the re-rolls, because of the combat points and the way that you spend your cards, it feels like you have a good amount of decision space, even though you're at the mercy of the dice and they can be somewhat, you know, merciless. There are definitely turns where I didn't get to do anything because I tried to roll high and failed and was not able to activate any of my abilities. And I think that makes it more interesting and makes me feel like I had a little bit more control over what was happening, even though maybe I don't. Maybe I didn't have control. I just thought I did. So this is definitely staying here. I kind of wish I'd have picked up the others. There's more sets of the Marvel characters. I was excited about this because Em really loves the MCU. And so I knew that this would be easy to get to the table with her. If I brought home like the weird vampire versus whatever, or, you know, Santa Claus versus Krampus, she might not have been so interested in it. But she was definitely interested in this because of the theme. But then when we played it, she was like, oh, can we play again? I went, yeah. You know, so she was really excited about this. So 2 games, It's a Wonderful Kingdom and Dice Throne. Both are 2-player games that I brought home from GenCon. Both neat little games. I'm definitely going to hold on to them. There you are. I like doing these simple little reviews. I have a couple more to do for my GenCon haul, and then maybe we'll go back to revisiting my collection at some point. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is nader. It is a verb meaning to talk ceaselessly, to babble. The way Emily naders endlessly about her family's new yacht is revolting to those of us who have owned several yachts over the years. Maybe it's natter. I'm going to say it's natter. N-A-T-T-E-R. The pronunciation key says capital N-A-H, so emphasis on na and ter, not nader, natter. I don't know why I said nader. It's a nader. That's incorrect. Natter.